Welcome everyone to the Naked Founder podcast, the business podcast where nothing is hidden. Our guest today is Hayley Roberts, founder and CEO of specialist IT cybersecurity distributor Distology, headquartered in Stockport. She founded a business in 2015 and has grown it to £63 million turnover, 50 people, and has offices in the UK, in the Netherlands and in Germany. This episode of The Naked Founder is sponsored by Financial, the home of money for women. Welcome, Hayley Roberts.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, delighted to have you, Hayley. We always start every episode of the Naked Founder podcast with the same question. What didn't they tell you about founding a business which you wish they had told you?
Founding it's the easy bit. I think the hardest bit is evolving it, actually.
Did you, when you were a kid growing up, did you want to be an entrepreneur? Was that the plan?
Well, I wouldn't have said that was my major plan because I probably didn't know what entrepreneur meant, let alone spell it.
You wanted to be an actress, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I wanted to be an actress. I was obsessed with that. I thought performing was brilliant.
Who in particular did you like?
Oh, I mean, Sir Laurence Olivier was my big fave. I went to see Time in London back in the day, and I did part of the Manchester Youth Theatre when I was growing up as well, and that was phenomenal. And I was desperate to get my equity card and go and perform. But I remember having hard conversations with my dad, who was incredibly black and white, and would say, but you'll get rejected. There's no money in it. You're just going to be one of many. So go down the academic route, and at least you've got something to fall back on.
I'm going to talk to you about your dad shortly. Yeah. I'm going to talk to you about a trend that I've seen a lot with successful female entrepreneurs who get divorced. Yeah. You got divorced.
Yeah.
Okay. Just talk about that trend.
Obviously, I set the trend.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a trend. Well, it probably is a trend. But in my head, I've changed a huge amount through my 20s, 30s, 40s that I think you start on a road of rightly so, wanting to achieve something and be with somebody forever. But forever is actually a really long time nowadays. And I think that what happens is we change the path in which we take, we change the desires we have, we change the goals that we have, and no longer sometimes are they fitting or matching with the person who's with us. So I think you either evolve together or you evolve apart. And it's a bit like, somebody explained it to me once, it was like 1 degree of separation. So you're on a railway track, you can't see it 1 degree of different turn. But as you go further down the track, that 1 degree gets wider and wider. And I think you suddenly just look and go, I don't know whether I want this anymore. And it's a horrible thing to go through, actually.
See, I know lots of entrepreneurs, and when I know lots of male entrepreneurs who've maybe had a marriage breakup, and they sort of talk about it, and it's sort of, I'm not to say it's a badge of honour because it's very painful, but they talk about it. And yet I know a lot of female entrepreneurs, and you talk to them, and I think, actually, you've separated from your husband, you divorced from your husband, and there's probably 8 or 9 really successful female entrepreneurs that I know, of which you're one, who separated from your husband. You had children together as well. At what point do you know it's not working? And how much of that is down to the fact that you're a founder and you're running a business? Because if you'd been a stay-at-home mum, would it have been different?
Do you know, I'd love to know the stats on all of this between men and women, female, male entrepreneurs and the divorce rate. I can't talk about all women. I'm going to talk about what I went through. And I don't think the realisation just suddenly hit me one day. I think it was a gradual creeping up of, I didn't want to share my journey and my successes with the person I was married to. I wanted to do things for other people. I also think that as a woman and a mother, you always put yourself last. So as soon as you have children, and certainly this was for me, and I know lots of my friends are the same, you have, and I think there is a burnt chop, I think it is an analogy, but it might be something else. But it's, you always take the burnt food, right? So you'll give it the kids and your husband the nicer stuff you've prepared, and you'll take the scraps. You'll take the one that was a bit shit. Yeah. You'll take the last omelette that was a bit crappy around the edges. Yeah. And I did that for years. And it wasn't like a major martyrdom or sacrifice. It's just being a mum. You want the best for your kids. You want to give the best. You want to do the best. I loved being a mum. I really did, in the very early days of getting organised, getting the feeds right. But as soon as it got complex, where I had to get involved in the school playground, get involved in the homeworks and things. It's really, really hard. And actually, I wanted to find myself again. And I was at conflict with myself a little bit of, well, I want to make something of me, but I can't make it being a mum. You know, I wanted to, maybe I was competitive with myself and I wanted to do well, but I knew I was never going to be mum of the year. I love my kids. I want to do the best for them, but I wanted to find something for me as well. And I think that was the burning thing that got bigger and bigger and bigger. So as I was working and doing well, and I started to see success, because I had my children early, I didn't have my career early. So I started to see it. I became almost not addicted to it, but I became more obsessed with doing well and doing better for myself, not to the detriment of being a mum, but that's what I did. And I think that was the build and the burn and the desire to do well, not to just have the best house, have the best, kitchen, have the dinner parties and the great garden and the gym in the garden and all those gorgeous things that you can have, which is stuff. Inside, I wanted to achieve more for me. And I don't think you can get that from just seeing your children flourish, because it's still not you.
Can you have everything? Can you have a successful marriage, a great relationship with your children, a great home life, a successful business, and be happy yourself?
I want to say yes, but you've got to understand that everything's a gauge. It's not 100%. You can't have 100% of everything. Something has to give. Like, my marriage had to give to a certain extent. And even though he was supportive in a way, I think I didn't want that. I didn't need that support and I didn't want it moving forward. But, being a great mum is idiosyncratic, right? It's very, very personal because your children's needs are going to be very different. But actually also we need to teach our kids resilience too. So having something for yourself, I've realized, is actually really, really positive for them too. So yes, you can have it all, but what is all as well? That's quite idiosyncratic and very personal too. So having a great marriage is not just something that happens. You have to work at relationships. I appreciate that now. And I just think I just didn't want to work at it.
I interviewed Sarah Davis famously on Dragon's Den, and she spoke about the fact that she missed her kids. I think it was either Christmas ball, it was the sports day or the Christmas nativity or something. Yeah. And she said she doesn't beat herself up about it. But when she is a mum, she gives 110%.
Yeah.
But she can't be a stay-at-home mum.
No.
But she's not looking down at stay-at-home mums. It's just not her.
No. I mean, look, everyone's got their place, and there's not just one thing or another. There isn't a stay-at-home mum and a career person. There's blends of all different things, right? And whatever works for you. And I'm a massive believer in that. I think we're all so desperately wanting to get pigeonholed into groups of people who are this or who are that. And actually, we just need to accept that what we are is unique and perfectly fine, actually. And there's a whole opportunity for us to be a mum or a career person or a blend of both, or, or not be a great mum and be better at their career. That's okay too. I don't think I was a fantastic mum. I wasn't always there at things. I wasn't, the one at the end, at the finish line. I wasn't the one watching things and going, this is great. I was often watching things going, I could be doing something better here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's terrible to admit. I don't think my kids would ever know that, but I love them more than anything. And so that's not taken away. I'd be there if they needed me, but there are times when I've not been.
Not present. No,
not present.
I think every parent, if they're honest with themselves, would admit that as well. We've not spoken about Distology. We will in a second. But you're building this cybersecurity distributing business, Distology, which is hugely successful. And then you split and divorce from your husband. Yeah. What impact does that have on your business?
Oh, massive. Because
both financial and practical?
Financial came, yes, because personally, financially, I lost everything in my divorce. So that's another thing that I don't think men will naturally say, well, I'd like to give it all away. And women were going, we want equality. And so then we get divorced and go, oh my God, everything got taken from me. Yeah, it does, because that's what happens. If you're successful and your other half hasn't got as much as you have to share that out or give it away. And that's exactly what happened. And it was bitter. It was a bitter moment. It was horrible because it's like your child. It was my child, Distology.
Your fourth child.
My fourth child that I was developing and growing and nurturing and seeing people love it. And, I got so much from it. And it was a sense of a real achievement, as much as it has been seeing my children thrive. And so for someone to then not take it away, but take the fruits of that labor away, that hurt. There was bitterness there, real bitterness and acrimony from both sides, actually. I wouldn't just say it was one-sided. And it took me a long time to get over that. So yes, that came after the divorce, but the impact emotionally was massive.
And then how does that manifest itself in running a business. When you go in and you walk through the front door of the business, are you leaving all your residual bitterness at the door?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I am, because I'm a robot. No, I don't think anybody can, right? If you are an emotional person, which we all are, there is no switch off, switch on, right? If some people can do it, that's amazing. I certainly couldn't do it. I tried really hard to mask how I was feeling, but I wasn't in the office as much as perhaps I would have been. I wasn't as buoyant. I mean, bearing in mind, when you build a business, a lot of it is your personality. Our business is all about culture. It's about good service. It's about being positive. You know, these are our values in the business. So if I couldn't exhibit that, and bearing in mind, you know, we were smaller than we are now a few years ago when I went through the divorce, I was very visible. It was very tangible that I was probably not as buoyant, as upbeat, as bubbly as I always have been. So that it was shocking. It was harmful. It was really hurtful.
Yeah, it's a difficult phase that you went through. You touched upon your dad earlier.
Yeah.
In our conversation, and you love your dad.
Yeah.
But your dad was particularly hard on you, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I can sort of, you know, I'm very lucky with my dad, but I can really relate to some of the stuff that you said. Yeah. What was he like? Just explain what he was like to you.
My dad was very black and white, very on and off, very judgmental. He still is, he's still alive, you know. He was very hard on himself, and therefore hard on myself and my sister. And I think that we never felt we were good enough, ever. So in my head, the voice in the back of my head was always, nothing's good enough. Nothing's good enough. You've got to keep going. You know, even when you're succeeding, you can't, it's not good enough to sit down. I would never sit down and go, oh my God, amazing, I'm so great. Because you can't be a big head. Don't be a big head, Hayley. No one likes a big head.
You're one of two sisters?
Yes.
Right, and no brothers?
No brothers. We were 14 months apart. My sister's older than me. And she's doing amazingly well. She's a head teacher, actually, at a school. She's amazing. But she was more of an introvert than me. So she got knocked a bit, because I was the one that would go, yeah, I'm great, everything's fine, I'm gonna show you all what's brilliant. And she would quietly ruminate on things and probably took it a lot more to heart sometimes than I did. But I don't think it's done as much harm. And I say that with a weird 50-50 of how I feel about saying it, because I don't know whether I'd be doing what I'm doing today without that voice in my head. But I've also learned to be nicer to myself about the mistakes that I've made.
You talk about resilience, though, and why we need to build resilience into young people.
Yeah.
But your dad built resilience into you indirectly, probably.
Yeah, he did. And actually, I could have turned out worse, right?
Yeah.
I could have turned out to be a bitter, horrible person who just beat my children with it as well.
Yeah.
And whilst I've tempered that with my kids, I will still say, hey, you know, you need to keep going or get some strength around. Don't sit there and lick your wounds too long, because, you know, you've got a life to live and there's lots to go for. I don't think I've been as harsh with them as he was on me, certainly. But I was constantly wanting his approval.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not a lot of that's a generational thing, because we're a similar age, I would imagine. I'm probably much more older than you, but my dad was old school.
Yeah.
And I'm a twin.
Yeah.
So my brother, slightly different to me, wanted to be a musician. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
And my dad said, no, get a sensible job.
Yeah.
And it was get a trade, you know, you'll never be without work, et cetera, et cetera. But he did it for the right reasons. And both me and my brother have been reasonably successful.
Yeah.
But he was black and white.
Yeah.
There was no grey in my dad's way of thinking. Yeah. What relationship did you have with your mum?
My mum was the softer, nurturing side, but she would side with my dad because, you know, she knew it was... And I think her father was pretty black and white. Again, that was the generation back again. But mum was great. She was a stay-at-home mum. She had a part-time job. She did all the things that meant she fit around us. She was a good mum. But I think she also wanted to do something for herself, but never had the confidence. She's very introverted, very, very private.
She was the mum you weren't?
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting.
Pretty much, yeah.
Your first job was interesting, one of your first jobs. Obviously, you dreamt of being an actress, wanted to go into law.
Yeah, messed
up your A-levels, ended up working for a toiletry business.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Oh, it's brilliant. So I did the IBM graduate scheme placement, or assessment day rather, assessment few days actually. And it was really good because I love being around people and we had lots of different things to do and I love those assessment centres. But I looked at everyone who worked there and I thought, oh, they look kind of sad and a bit grey and very corporate.
How old were you then?
I was 21.
21.
So 21, so after I graduated in business. And I thought, oh, and then I went for an interview with this toiletries company that was developing toiletries for Next, for Marks and Spencer's, for Sainsbury's. I thought, I get this. I understand this. I use toiletries. I'm, very excited by, bottles and the shape of things, the colour of things, all that kind of good stuff. I could conceptualise what it was, right, as a business. Couldn't really do that with IBM. And so that's why I joined Potter and Moore, it was at the time. And they did a lot of the toiletries for hotels, but they had a lab there developing the product, so I learned there. They had a factory to do factory startups at the age of like 22. I'd be there on a Saturday helping to start things off, developing products like the Christmas gift boxes for Next, and it was great. It was really, really exciting, and I learned a lot from it. But I also had a really dictatorial female boss, weirdly, which was quite bizarre, who would swear constantly. And I thought that was quite cool. So I'd swore anyway. I mean, it's like every other word.
We've only sworn once so far today.
Have I?
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, my gosh. It's 2026, New Year's resolution, etc. And I thought, yeah, she's great. She's like telling what it is and banging the phone down and really angry and aggressive and this happens, that happens. I was like, wow, she's so cool. And then realised that perhaps not many people actually liked her. But I kind of, take on that persona. Yeah, that's what she'd be, a real hard bitch and go out there and get it.
Swear word. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Boom.
That's the resolution over. Okay, you tried.
Now.
You mentioned earlier about your relationship as a mum.
Yeah.
Okay, you had your third child, 2007.
Yeah.
And you sort of realised that actually it wasn't for you. You mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
2015, you set up Distology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind Distology? What was the idea and what was the problem you were trying to fix?
So I'd worked, when I was made redundant actually from a headhunting job, it was credit crunch. So not long after, it was like 2008, just after my daughter was born. I'd gone back to work, wasn't going well, so lost that job. And I went then went for a job and I got a job in a cybersecurity distributor, right? So it was a huge opening then for a new industry, new area for me. It was great. Very quickly went from part-time within a few weeks to full-time because I was so addicted and wanted to do so well. And I spent some time with my daughter as a baby. She was 1 then. And basically it was a lot to do with customer service. It was new technologies. It was, we're in a supply chain for technology. How do we do better? And that's where a distributor sits. So I worked for them. They got bought by a large company. I lasted about 8 months in the large company running a business unit because I didn't like to be told what to do. It's very corporate. Got approached by a software business to run their business. Grew their business really nicely. And then I went, okay, there's still a real deficit of good customer service, good care and attention to detail and technical expertise in the distribution layer. And I was always talking with my friend who had sold the business that I'd first worked for. And he was like, he had some money and I had the time. And we basically got our heads together. And I said, I really want to do this on my own. He said, great, I'll back you. And that's basically how it started.
So when you launched business in 2015, I don't know how old you were at the time, but first time founder.
Yeah.
When you said to your dad, hey, Dad, I'm going to launch a business, what did he say?
Yeah, I think he was quite sceptical. I don't know whether it's because he didn't necessarily... He would always attribute my successes to other people. Isn't it great that he allowed you to do this? Isn't it great that he did this? Isn't it great that he did that? Even, isn't it great that one of my best friend's husbands pointed me in the direction of the recruitment website that I got the job at?
It was always he.
It was always he. It was always he. But then it was always he anyway. So I guess that I can't attribute that to him being sexist or whatever. But it was. And I thought, well, why can't you just say, wasn't it fortuitous that I managed to spot this opportunity and go for it? Now he does. Yeah. Now he does. Because he sees the success and the... Now, if it had failed, he'd probably gone, well, that's a stupid idea, wasn't it?
But maybe he didn't... Maybe he was worried that he didn't want you to fail. Maybe it was a counterintuitive thing.
Yeah, maybe. And yeah, maybe there's stuff in his past he could have done. I don't know the psychology behind it, but he was like, yeah, that'd be great. And I think also I was married. It wasn't, don't forget, this wasn't me with a single parent with kids and on the breadline but we did have a standard of living. I was earning a huge amount of money compared to what I'd previously earned. But my husband at the time was also earning and doing well. So there was a buffer there, even though it was a huge gamble, and it was, we had to cut back on a lot of things. I still managed to be able to do it because I had my bills paid, right? So it wasn't like I put everything on hold. I had to, bootstrap my whole life. So the hardships, I'd love to go, it was really, really tough. And I was it wasn't that hard. That's why I say that the founding bit was the easy bit. Everything else that comes from that, the self-deprecation, the lack of confidence, you don't have the pride in yourself that you had when you're working for somebody and doing well and earning the money. Suddenly you are literally at the mercy of how well you do for praise and accolade. You don't have a boss telling you you're doing a good job.
Are you unemployable?
Yes, massively.
Right. Okay. So you set up Distology. Okay. You set up Distology.
Yes.
Okay. 2015. Just talk about the practicalities of it. Did you need to? You said there's somebody that you knew.
Yes. So it was founded in 2014, and the name is very simply Distribution Technology.
Which I like, incidentally. I think it's really good.
And in enology, do you remember the it's enology, it's a science.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Maureen Lipman.
Lippmann, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is, and you know what? It kind of is. Of course, everything is a science if you boil it down to brass tacks. So that was it. And then the vendor that I was working with, I then took them in to represent them. To distribute them. So they were the biggest vendor that we had. We had another vendor that was really good run rate stuff. Yeah. So we took that, and that was it. So those are the two things we started with. And then everything else we would go out and work on bringing some technologies into the business. But the fundamental thing was you had to get people who wanted to buy from you. So the technology was one thing that they wanted to buy, but also it's the why would they even entertain you and put you on their books? And this is where the resale network, which is thousands of businesses. So I was sort of touting around a lot of these retailers going, no, come and buy from us. This is great. We're a new distributor. And then I was going to the vendors, the software manufacturers. Oh, yeah, no, we're really new. We're agile. We're going to do this. Because all we could evidence at that point was good customer service. All I could evidence was me running around going, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So I was selling, it was Emperor's New Clothes a lot of it.
Did you have an office or were you working from home?
So we had a serviced office in, we worked at a hot desk. We rented some space and had a desk in Manchester, hired a techie, and then a salesperson. So then moved to Stockport, had a serviced office in Regent's House.
Yeah.
That was the first proper office. And then it sort of built from there. Then we kept going up in the serviced office in Regent House. So we got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we went to a building that my shareholder that I'd gone into business with, he owned. So we had that for a little while. Then he exited the business when we got PE. And then we moved to a bigger facility in Stockport.
And the practicalities of having 3 young children and running a business.
Yeah.
It's not like it is now. It's not.
No.
What was it like then?
Then it was there was no COVID, there was no working from home, right? So you had to be in an office. So it was very very straightforward. The kids went into childcare and I went to work. And I was always the one that would leave last and come home first. So I'd always do the breakfast. I was always do the dinner until I was able to afford to get help. But again, because it was my business, I could cut the time short. But my ex-husband was in the office 12 hours a day every day. So there was no flexibility. There was no flexibility then anyway. And so, it was very much on me to do all of that as well, which is a lot of pressure. Actually, looking back now, it was a hell of a lot of pressure. But at the same time, the kids were starting to be a bit more self-sufficient. They could get themselves dressed. They could walk to school. We lived up the road from the school, so that was okay. But even so, there was other things that needed to be done.
You gave up a 6-figure salary to launch Distology as well. In those early days, were you able to take much money out of the business?
No, not really. I mean, what covered the salary that I had from the business was the fact that I brought the vendor along that I'd been working for. So that kind of paid for me. But and then it was like, God, I shouldn't be taking this, because we do this rudimentary spreadsheet of incomings, outgoings, and it was always red at the end of it. And I'd colour it red, like, oh God, we're losing money. But then, and I'd think, God, I need to cut this back. But I couldn't, because I had childcare to pay for. There was certain things the bills I had to pay for. I needed to contribute, and I couldn't really cut back. So So that was where it was. I should have maybe taken a cut, but I couldn't. But then within, I think it was about a year and a half, we started to turn the tide. Then
2021. You raised investment from NorthEdge private equity. What was your experience of raising investment? Because by then, of course, you're 6 years old. Yes. As a business, at least.
Yes. It was brilliant. I'll always say these experiences are brilliant because you learn so much, right? I mean, I get asked a lot, oh no, because private equity could be this, could be that. And I was the same, right? I thought, I'm not having someone telling me what to do. I've never had it. I'm not having someone coming in.
You don't like people telling you what to do?
No, and thinking they know better than me. Yeah. And maybe that's because I'm being belligerently rebellious against my upbringing. I don't know, right? I'm sure there's a psychologist out there that will drill into it and go, here's the reasons why. Yeah. But I hated somebody coming in thinking they knew better than me when I crafted this, developed this, and it was very much all about, what I was putting into it. And that was my ignorant viewpoint. The reality is no private equity company coming in to actually run it, unless, of course, you lose your mind or you start taking money out of the business and you shouldn't do. And so I loved the process. I had a great advisor and trusted them as well implicitly. And it was great. I met some brilliant people along the way. And a lot of it, even though it is about finance and it is about technology that we're working with, it actually is about the people you meet. And that's the choices. I always make choices based on a massive amount of trust to begin with. In actual fact, I'm probably too trusting, but that's just the way I am. And gut feel, and it's about people.
This is the Naked Founder podcast. Yeah, the podcast where nothing is hidden. I have asked somebody to appear on a show, and the first thing they said was, "Do I have to keep my clothes on?" I said, "Most definitely, most definitely." But in terms of you running a business, in terms of, you mentioned the fact that you're very trusting of people. You go on gut feel. Yeah. When you went through that investment round and you do the beauty parade and you're mixing with all these investment companies, how many people did you speak to? And also, a lot of people talk about when they found a business that the investment process takes them out of the game for the business and the business suffers. What was your experience?
It didn't actually with me, to be honest. Because I wouldn't let it. I was pretty hard-nosed about that. And also, I think it really quite, in a weird way, I was enjoying selling, like, this is what we do, right? Talking about the businesses like I would do a day in, day out, right? I love it. And I would say every entrepreneur would do that. Every founder would do that. Talk about how brilliant the business is because you believe in it, right? So I was just getting a brilliant audience. So I would fine tune that. And then I'd go into the office and I'd be so invigorated and energized from it. It actually didn't hold me back at all. And the time was nothing. It was coffees here and whatever. And it was COVID. So we did all of this online. None of it, I never met anyone in person.
Yeah. How many people did you have virtual coffees with?
I had virtual coffees with, I think, around 11.
How many offers did you get?
We had, I think, 2 or 3.
And the purpose of the raising the investment, because that was about the time that you got divorced as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. So raising the investment, so I was just about, so just before I started to look at the investment, I separated for a short period of time. And then as I was doing the investment, it was such a huge thing to go through. I couldn't do 2 things. It was like having almost 2 divorces because one of my shareholder was going as well that I'd shared some of the journey with. So he was going. And then I was thinking, oh God, I'm actually, I'm separating as well. Emotionally, it was a massive impact. And I just couldn't do both. Yeah. And I know I needed to go on this journey with the business, and it was critical for the business at that point. So I put a hold on and thought, probably overthinking this. Overthinking this. I just need to go back. I just need to go back and make a go of it.
To what you know.
To what I know, make good of it. It's probably me. Ugh, silly old me again. I'll go back to it. And that's what happened. So we went through the process, which was, let's say a good year. So it's, good 9 to 10 months of hard work. And then I took some money out, as a lot of people will do. You take money out of the business to de-risk a bit, and it was nice because you get your asset disposable relief. By the time this goes out, you never know, that might be gone, but take it out now. Any entrepreneur that's going through, and so did stuff to the house, great distraction. Got my car that I'd wanted since I was 8 years old. All those good things mask everything that you're feeling because suddenly you're seeing, because it's stuff, and stuff is noisy. It's nice. And that's what happened. So it masked it. And then pretty much after that, I just suddenly realised when that noise died down, I went, oh.
You know, though, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, and like it's like people talk about the fact that hire slowly, fire quickly, and I think in terms of, you know, touch wood, fingers crossed, Mrs. M doesn't change her mind, but I think you know if something's not working, whether it's a work relationship. Yeah. A relationship anyway.
I think if you have to wake up in the morning, the first thing you think is, how do I feel about them today? It's not good. It's not good. And it's demotivating when you're passionate about what you're doing. You know, the kids are on their journey and you're supporting them. You can't be happy, because fundamentally that should be a no-brainer, right? I'm not saying that you take it for granted and don't work at it. I just think it should be a no-brainer. And I just think fundamentally we became very different people through that process.
I know he's pursued his path. You've pursued your path. 3 great children. Yeah. You've got a great business. Yeah. In terms of Distology today, where is Distology today? Where are you on your journey, on that journey?
Oh, do you know what? I spent probably 10 years saying we're only just getting started, but I really mean it this time. Yeah. I think because we are at this great point in our business where not only are we a really good, solid ship. So we were a good ship with calm seas. We're an amazing, I want to say it's like a destroyer, because we can cope with the choppiest of seas now. We've got a great team, great leadership, great vendor spread, great customer base, really brilliant culture, you know, it's constantly improving and developing. And we are on that nice trajectory upwards now. There's nothing that I'm fearful of that would really blow a hole in the hull. Yeah. So I'm not worried about anything. On that score, I just want to make sure we now capitalize on that. So that's where we're at as a business. And I can see where I want to be in the next 5 years.
How far ahead do you look?
Oh, I never used to look further than like literally 6 months to a year. And I'm not very good at future thinking. I go, visionary, amazing. Like I want to have a picture of that, but putting a timeline on it, absolutely terrible. Now I'm starting to think about that. As I get older and want to do more things that are me, play more paddle, do more yoga.
Oh, somebody else is playing paddle. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm not, I mean, I think I could be amazing if you give it time. That's my excuse. Yeah. But I love it.
Are you one of these people who is one of life's eternal optimists?
Yes.
You start playing paddle, and even if you can't get the ball over the net, you think eventually you'll be the best in the world.
Trust me, Chris, I can get the ball over the net. Okay. Don't you worry about that.
I think that's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Oh my God. No, but I want to be, everything I do, I want to be the best. Yeah. But I know I'm not going to be the best. So I'm like, at least I know rationally I'll be above average.
Yeah. I think I don't set resolutions anymore. Because what's the point? What I do is I set goals in my mind. Yeah. And I achieve them. Yeah. You know. And I thought to myself, I said, okay, I go on the exercise bike at the gym for 15 minutes. Yeah. Let's do an hour. Yeah. Okay. And the best way for me to do an hour is to bring my iPad in and watch a film. Yeah. So I'm not thinking about exercise because I don't really enjoy it. Yeah. And I do this hour, work up a sweat, and then the following day I get out of bed, and it's like a 5-stage maneuver. Yeah. Everything hurts. So I have this idea. Yeah. And then I have to, pick up the pieces of it. What lessons, last 3 questions actually, what lessons have you taken from being a founder that you would share with the audience of the Naked Founder podcast?
There's no stereotypical journey. I think there's a lot of decisions to be made along the way that you'll never know until you get to the point to make the decision. So I think that's the lesson. I think remaining optimistic and finding the success in tiny things is critically important to the support of your emotional well-being and positivity moving forward.
Celebrate the little wins.
Tiny wins. It's a bit like making sure the tiny muscles around your big muscle groups are really well supported and you're stretching and you're doing all the right stuff, because it's those that will be the ones that will support you when you get older and everything starts to fail.
What was your last big win? Your last small win?
Small win, getting here literally bang on 9 o'clock, but then actually failure that I didn't park the right.
No, because you came to the wrong side of the building. Yes, okay, but don't worry, we're not going to. And but I that really sort of ticks my box as well, because I think so many people go on LinkedIn and they say, here's an image of Strava today because I've done 20 miles.
But it's so idiosyncratic. So every Friday I go through this thing, and I have done since I started the bit. In fact, I have done since I've worked. Every Friday I get to Friday, and often I don't drink in the week, although sometimes I do different things. Yeah. But I'll get to the Friday and I go, have a glass of wine, and I'll go, right, what's happened today? Has everything that I want to achieve been achieved? Is everyone okay? have I done the things I needed to do? Am I set up for next week? Have I got ahead of the curve on a few things? Is the house tidy? Is my bed made?
Yeah.
Have I washed my hair?
Yeah.
Those things, right? And I go boom, boom, boom. And if the majority of that is good, and I feel like I've succeeded, that is worthy of that glass of wine / turns into half a bowl.
I always post a picture on Facebook, because I'm really interesting, of a glass of whiskey and Coke on Friday night.
Nice.
Even if I do drink in the week, which I don't try to, I might have.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to avoid it sometimes.
No, so me and Mrs. M sit down with a whiskey and Coke, currently eating carrots and hummus instead of crisps.
Yeah,
that's my win.
Good. That's good.
But I
salted peanuts and a beer for me. But
I always review my week.
Yeah.
On a Friday, I always review it, and I think to myself, if more of it's shaded in than there's not, I've achieved something.
Yeah, that's your good news blog as well. Because I think focusing on the positive, not the negative.
Yeah.
And most people will, and it's, I don't know the technicalities. It's called the RAS. If your brain focuses, if you over focus on the negatives, it's like a magnet. It'll attract all the negatives. But if you think about the wins, like if I was late to, I could have said, oh, got to the wrong car park, that's awful. Was stuck in traffic, that's awful. Said the wrong thing and swore on a podcast, that's awful. Might be late back to the office, that's awful. Then everything's going to be awful today. Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because everything isn't awful. In fact, the reality is we have awful stuff go on all the time. Some are massive and some are not massive. But don't over-focus on them. Somebody said once, focus on your, or lick your wounds for 24 hours, but by the same token, celebrate for 24 hours, right? So you're not over-focusing on either, but you're just keeping moving forward on, but I would over-focus on the tiny little bits.
I have a frustration when you wake up in the morning, right? Okay, you reach out, turn the alarm clock off. You accidentally knock your bottle of water over, okay? And you say, it's going to be one of them days. It's going to be one of them days. It's not going to be one of them days.
It's not.
You've knocked a bottle of water over.
No.
But you drive here and you hit 3 green lights.
Yeah.
Wow, it's fantastic.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely. And
the world's on my side.
That's a mindset issue. That's
totally.
a mindset issue.
It's totally a mindset issue.
Okay. We always end with this question on the Naked Founder podcast. There's a tradition in the US, and maybe it's changing at the moment, because I'm not sure the current incumbent would write a letter to his successor, but where the current president will write a letter to the incoming president with advice. If you could write a letter to the younger Hayley Roberts on your first day of founding a business, but also to anybody else thinking about founding a business, what would you write? Worry
is just not productive. Don't worry. Just don't worry. Just make sure that the things that you can control, you action. And if you can't action them, then you just try and action other things. But worry is just not productive.
What's that song? That song, Don't Worry.
Be happy.
Be happy. Well, listen, that's the sort of song I would play right now.
On the way out.
Okay, fantastic. Listen, thanks very much to our guest today, Hayley Roberts. This has been the Naked Founder podcast. If you like it, please tell your friends and family and subscribe. Thanks very much. My name, as always, is Chris Maguire.